Good afternoon. My name is Jim Conlan, and welcome to the latest episode of our entertainment show. As you know, in part three of our entertainment show each week, we premiere a new movie or TV series that is debuting here in Ireland and the UK, and especially here in Ireland where Irish eyes are smiling. And up for discussion this week, we're going very much into the stars, into the no frontier, into the, dare I say, out and past the Milky Way, back into deep space. And we all thought that William Shaftner was the first man of Star Trek. We all thought that Captain James T. Kirk was the pioneer, was the original Star Trek man. But little did we know, behold, that a man went before even Captain James T. Kirk, though, and his name was the Christopher Pike, under the SS Enterprise. And this story is a prequel. It's before Stargate. Features an all-star cast including Anson Mount, Ethan Peck, Rebecca Romijn, Jess Bush, Babs Olamaskan, Andrea Day Kim, and our special guest this evening, the one and only Melissa Navia, who plays the role and character Erica Ortega. And Melissa, if I could just start off, that character, James T. Kirk, William Shaftner, legendary, the first man of Star Trek, the iconic thing. It's a pretty bold move from Star Trek Strange New World to go before him, to say, listen, he's not the first man of Star Trek. We came before him, and we're the sort of new pioneers. We're the first sort of breed that daunted the frontiers. And exciting, but dangerous in one sense, given the mass Star Trek following that is just monumental all over the world. Are you exciting to take on that sort of challenge to go before the great Shatner?
Absolutely. Well, the cool thing is that Trekkies and fans from back in the 60s will remember that the original pilot that Gene Roddenberry put out there for Star Trek, the captain was Christopher Pike. And it was a different actor. And number one, who's played in our show Strange New Worlds by Rebecca Romijn, was in it. And they also had Spock, who was played by Leonard Nimoy, and ended up being played by him, in the Star Trek that we all know with Captain Kirk. So the cool thing is that we have legacy characters who fans know and love and always kind of wanted to know more about. And so we're able to tell that story now. And then we have new characters like mine, Erica Ortega's, that are brand new but get to interact with these iconic characters that everybody has grown to love over the decades. So we just have a really perfect formula of everything that fans have always loved about Star Trek, and then we're creating new stories, new adventures every week that people are getting to fall in love again for the first time, and also rekindling, what has always made Star Trek so popular and such a wonderful show to kind of like go back to. You can watch episodes over and over again and learn something new from them each time. So even though it's kind of daunting, a task to take on, the years before Captain Kirk's Enterprise, we are well poised to do it. We have a fantastic cast, a fantastic crew, and I tell everyone I speak to that everyone who is working on making the production, so our producers, our showrunners, our writers, are all fans of the show. So they are all Trekkies at heart, and so the future of the franchise is in good hands.
Yeah, and Melissa, one thing I'm curious, I remember doing an interview last year with Eddie J. Olmos, the great Edward J. Olmos, in Battlestar Galactica, and he told me when they rebooted Battlestar Galactica that he wanted to make the ship feel old, creaky, to make it feel that it was due a sort of time. Did you almost get that sort of sense with Stargate, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, that he had to make it relevant to the time, that you couldn't say outdo, say, Picard's time, outdo that sort of era in terms of sci-fi looks, that you had to fit your timeline, dare I say? So was that very important for the producers, the directors, that you can't go out with, say, all 21st century sort of stuff and technology that when people say, wait a minute, this is supposed to be before Kirk's time, before Picard's time. So was that very important in terms of the scenes and the sets and locations, that you fit the timeline, dare I say?
Yeah, so it's a tricky balance, and the great thing is that there's so many iterations of Star Trek and so many different shows, and fans, and including our cast and our crew, they of the backstories. They know of the timeline. So they know when something would be out of place, when something hadn't been created yet. So we can do that in our show, unless, time travel craziness happens, which is a thing that happens in Star Trek. Walked onto the bridge of the Enterprise, so the set, and that was a question we were asked a lot in the first year after season 1 premiered, was like, what was it like walking out to the bridge? So even not huge, and everyone knows the bridge of the Enterprise. We all see that from popular culture, and we have that image in our mind. And the cool thing was that we walked out to it, and it felt exactly like the bridge you would have seen on TOS, and also similar to the bridge of other Star Trek starships, but definitely, that TOS bridge, but updated. So I don't know how they did it. They're all amazing at what they do, every crew member, every department, but they were able to create kind of like that iconic 60s set, but updated, but like brought into, we're shooting in 2023. Well, now we're shooting in 2023, but now it is 2023, but we shot, when did we shoot? What is time? We shot in 2021. But the show takes place hundreds of years in the future. And then we're also calling back to the iconic 1960s set. So they managed to do it in a way that was kind of like, it incorporates all of that. The colors are bright. Features of the bridge, like my helm, for example, all of, kind of the gadgets and the buttons and the workings of what makes the starship run. When you see things, people can look at it and say, oh my goodness, that's exactly like it was in that episode from the original series. But yet it's all updated for Strange New Worlds. Everything just looks crisp and bright, and like, yeah, I would absolutely believe this is the Starship Enterprise.
Yeah. And tell me, in terms of, I know 2021, we're in the midst of a pandemic, but you went to the sci-fi country of the world, the home of sci-fi, to Toronto, to Ontario, to Canada, to sort of shoot it, and so many iconic sci-fi programs have come out of Canada. Was that a sort of conscious decision to bring the production to Canada, or was it very much in terms of the climate that we had at the moment, in terms of what was going on? And were you based in Canada at the time, in terms of that sort of role, and how did the opportunity fall at your doorstep?
Yeah, so I'm in New York City. I'm one of those actors that kind of took a bit of a different route in terms of, I wanted to be on film and TV. I've always loved theater. I've done theater since I was younger, but I was very kind of stubborn and set in my ways, that I would continue to audition and based in New York City, but that I was going to make it, in some perfect role that came along for me, it was going to happen. And I don't know how to explain it, but I felt years ago that whatever big show that I booked, I was going to have to go to Canada, And the fact that it ended up being Toronto was because, Star Trek shoots on CBS's stages in Toronto. So that was already set up. Star Trek Discovery, one of our other wonderful Star Trek shows, shoots in Toronto as well. And so, but from New York, it's like an 8.5-hour drive. So it was great because we were able to drive up, during pandemic times, and during, there was quarantine restrictions, and there was border restrictions, and Toronto was on lockdown while we started shooting. But for me, it was great because I was just like, yes, I was like, I got to kind of still be close to my family, in a sense, and 8.5-hour drives, not so crazy. And so I didn't have to shoot in Vancouver, which is on the other side of our world, East Coast, West Coast. But yeah, so it ended up working out for me, and I kind of felt like, I always thought and hoped that I would have to shoot one day either in New York City, because that's my home, and I love this. I love my home, but if not, then that I would be close. And so Toronto's close, and I think you said it best. So many wonderful, iconic sci-fi shows have shot there, and it's a great city. In the winter it's frigid, and in the summer it's gorgeous.
I loved it there, Melissa, when you said 8.5-hour drive. That's not very much to drive. You could drive from one side of Ireland, from the east coast to the west coast, in 3 hours, and we sort of complain about how long that is. And you're talking about an 8.5-hour drive. It's nothing.
Yeah, it's got to be done. Got to be done.
Melissa, can you tell us about your character, Erica Ortega, and what did you want to bring to her, and in terms of how you sort of portray her? Because you mentioned she is a new sort of character, so that gives you some sort of a freedom as such. You're not in the Spock sort of element. You're not in the sort of, so you have that sort of freedom to maybe go out of the box, dare I say, maybe where some actors can't. And what did you start to bring to her? Did you envision any characters from previous Star Trek shows where you said, oh, I like that, I could take a bit of that angle from that person and bring it in and maybe fit it into this Ortega character?
Yeah, so when I got the breakdown, I mean, it was to me, it was kind of the perfect role, and kind of everything that I've been uh, playing throughout my career, and also that I want to play more of. And so she's the helmsman of the USS Enterprise, so she's the pilot of the ship, and she's also a soldier. She's been in war, she's been in battle, and they described her as someone who is very capable, highly skilled. Everyone trusts her with their lives, and also she's really funny and she's really cool, and she's the kind of person that anybody on the ship can go and get drinks with, and feel comfortable around. And so that was what I saw of the character. I knew that it was a Star Trek show. At the time, this was at the end of 2020, so again, pandemic times, everything was madness, and all of our auditions were self-taped, so we were doing it all from home. And I remember thinking, I've been doing this long enough that I'm like, instead of kind of looking to who she is like and who maybe I can emulate, I have to just bring what I bring to this character. And if they dig it, then they dig it, and this is my role. And if not, then it wasn't meant to be. And so we got one audition, and it was just wonderfully written. And across the board, since we've started shooting, and since the shows have come out, like, the writing is excellent. And that's what I think makes Star Trek really work, is when the stories are so well told that people enjoy watching them, listening to them, and then keep going back to them. And so with her character, and all the characters in our cast, including the legacy characters, that I agree with you, it's a bit not more dangerous territory, but a bit more daunting, because my wonderful castmates who play these legacy characters, like Uhura and Spock, and Chapel, and Dr. Mbenga, and Pike, and number one. Am I missing anybody? They have to kind of adhere to things that have come before, and then also bring themselves to it. But with Ortegas, I was able to be like, okay, I see what they kind of want out of her, and now I'm gonna create this character. But then showrunners also told me that her last name, Ortegas, is an homage to a character that Gene Roddenberry initially wanted in that original pilot that had Captain Christopher Pike, and it just never made it to screen. The character became somebody else. His name was Jose, so Jose Ortegas, and it became Jose Tyler, which is completely different. And so for me, it felt really cool that here's this character that should have made it to our screens in the 60s, never did, and fast forward to my time, and I get to bring that character to the screen.
Yeah. And Melissa, an awful lot of people will be listening into this interview, and they'll be sort of curious, and you might say, oh, that's not an educated question, but they'll be curious listening into this interview, and they'll be thinking to themselves, well, 10-15 minutes interview, I want to hear it. Is it the Romulans? Is it the Borg? Is it is it the Cyclops, in terms of what's the enemy? What are they fighting? Who's the big bad guys in terms of that? What sort of universe are they taking on? Is it Klingons? Is it Borg? Is it Romulans? Maybe you might give the answers there, because that's sort of the questions that have been coming our way. Do ask what the enemy is.
Yes. So our enemy is, I guess there are few, but I would say from season one, our main enemy is the Gorn, which is very cool, especially if you've seen the original series. And there's that episode, that scene that everybody, Trekkie or not, knows, where Captain Kirk faces off with a Gorn. And but here in Strange New Worlds, we are facing kind of this unknown beast, that it kind of plays throughout multiple episodes in season one. And our special effects team, again, our writing team, everybody have just created a really terrifying enemy, terrifying villain And season one, you kind of see them, or yeah, you do see them, and we also were hunted at one point. And whether or not they're going to come back in season two, I cannot say. But I can say, because it's already come out, is that we do get to see the Klingons again, and so they're back in the mix. But definitely the Gorn are power players in our version of Star Trek for right now.
Okay. And Melissa, is it a busy time in the world of Melissa Navia at the moment in terms of other stuff heading our way or other stuff going on at the moment?
Yeah, so I'm working on a couple of projects of my own, but right now, in this moment in time, we have been at a bit of a standstill because of the writer's strike. So there's a huge writer's strike that is going on over 2 months right now.
Yeah,
and
we know.
as we speak right now, today's the last day of negotiations between the actors union and the studios, and so we are now midnight tonight. We should have answers as to whether or not the actors go on strike. So as of right now, most productions, including ours, have not been filming because of the writer's strike. So we don't really know what the landscape looks like tomorrow, but I'm fortunate to be part of an incredible show where we have our writers are all on the picket lines, and so we're rooting for them to get a fair contract. And our cast, my castmates and myself, we're waiting to for everything to be resolved to get back to filming. But we do have season 2. We're in the middle of it. We have, I believe, in Ireland, everything is airing at the same time as it is in the States. I know Paramount Plus, was really trying to make that happen in as many parts of the world as possible. I know fans will be like, we're not here, not there, but we're in a lot of places.
Yeah.
And so I have friends in Ireland who, when I watch the episode, they'll WhatsApp me and they'll be like, it was a great episode. So we're in the middle of season 2, and that's a great thing. So whatever happens tonight at midnight, fans can get at least they're gonna get a good deal of a season left. And when everything gets resolved, we'll get back to filming season 3 because we've already been renewed, and the adventure continues.
And Melissa, I suppose, lastly, before I let you go, how did Melissa Navia wind up in County Clare in Ireland last year?
So I went to Ireland 3 times last year, 3 times, and the reason is because my late partner Brian was from Ballyshannon, and so he's from County Donegal, and he was. I spoke with him. I've been speaking. I speak with him all the time, but I was speaking about him a lot since I started doing promotions for Strange New Worlds, because he helped me get to Strange New Worlds. He helped me audition, and he was with me for all of our filming of season 1 in Toronto, and he made it all possible. And because life is strange and things happen that we are angry about, but things happen, and we have to make the best of it. He left us in December of 2021, and he was an absolute force of nature, a rock of a man, a fantastic musician, just my everything, my whole life. And the funny thing is, he had told me about a month before December, he had said, he was in great health and great spirits, and he said, I'm going to take you to your spiritual home, which was taking me back to Ireland and introducing me to his family, even though I knew them all from online and all of his friends. And so he said, I'm going to take you. The pandemic threw things into madness, or else we would have gone there a bit sooner, but we were going. And so in some strange way, he absolutely did bring me to Ireland. He knows that I love Irish music, and I love trad music, and I love all of Ireland, and I adore him, and I love him. And so he absolutely brought me back to Ireland. But all of his friends and family laugh, because they're like, Brian would be like, you've gone to Ireland 3 times in 1 year. Like, what are you doing? He was from Ballyshannon, County Donegal, but was also absolutely a New York City man. That was his home for over 20 years. And as his friend said, Brian didn't just love New York, he was New York. So he was very much, one of those people that are just larger than life. And he took me to Ireland, and I have friends in Galway, and I have friends in Clare, and I have friends in Dublin. Brian's Uncle Des took me to Dublin, and so I got one of the best tours of all of Ireland, and I think of it as the second home. So I will be back for sure, and I've been watching hurling, so I know all the hurling craziness that's been going on in the last couple of weeks. So I'm with you guys, and I can't wait to get back.
Okay, so Melissa Navia, time has caught up with us. So for the final sort of 30 seconds, you might enlighten all our people, all our listeners, all our viewers, why they should watch Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 1 on Channel Paramount Plus. And Melissa Navia, what's in store for them?
It's a fantastic show. Star Trek Strange New Worlds. It's an amazing ensemble. It is the Star Trek that you have yet to see if you haven't seen it yet, but yet it's everything about Star Trek that everybody loves and that has made Star Trek such a cultural phenomenon and an iconic part of our lives. And so if you're not watching it yet, I want to know why. Get on that Paramount Plus. And you can watch it, an episode here, an episode there. You don't have to kind of be in it for the whole thing. It's adventure a week, adventure of a week, new adventure every week. And I fly the Enterprise, so please check it out.
Okay, on that note, from me, Jim Conlan, to you, Melissa Navia, stay safe, take care, God bless. All the best with Star Trek Strange New Worlds. She plays Erica Ortega, the character on Channel Paramount Plus. But from Romijn, from me, Jim Conlan, to you, Melissa Navia, stay safe, take care, God bless, and bye-bye.
Pleasure, Jim.
No problem, Melissa.
That was awesome. Cool. Thank you so much.
Cool,
Thank
Melissa.
you, Bailey.
Take care.